Good morning, Rise Up Nation, or good afternoon, whenever you're choosing to watch this later on. We're here for another edition of Rise Up in Real Estate. I got to get myself here in the camera. This is fun. We have been behind the scenes. Look at how clear you are, Ashley.
I know, it's better.
What did you do? That's better.
I didn't do anything.
Listen, sit completely still. Don't mess with a thing. Okay, this is Rise Up Real Estate live stream. We're on YouTube, social media, wherever you might be looking around. If you're looking around, you can, if you are out there in listening land, you can actually comment, ask a question, which I hope you'll do, throw a recipe up, which you see today's episode. We got one commenter already. Look, Carrie loves the t-shirts. If you send me your size, then you might just get one, because I can show you. We've got a giant box of them right next door. So here's what we do. We film this for 45 minutes on Wednesdays at 10, and then we turn this thing into a podcast that goes next Monday live on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all the places you can find it. If you are lucky enough to be looking at this in vertical mode, which I actually think I've got somebody out there, let's say, if you're looking at it in vertical mode and you can see Lawton and half of my body, which is not the better half of my body, by the way, turn your phone or camera to like this way instead of this way. See if that works. I think that's called horizontal. I learned this because the horizon goes this way.
Oh my gosh.
That's me being very smart again. But if that frustrates you, then some people say that it works fine that way. I've got a couple listeners out there watching right now, and they say it looks great. So it might be user error. Good morning. Let me just go ahead and tell you that first thing right out of the box. So welcome back to this episode. We're going to talk about some stuff. Lawton and Ashley, welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Gosh, that made me feel so comfortable, Ashley, when you said that. You said, good morning. It's so peaceful and calm.
Well, I also wanted to ask Lawton why he's not wearing the podcast uniform today.
We just can't get all three of us on the same page.
No, they're all dirty. I've been wearing them every day. They're all dirty.
I don't know what that is, what picture that is of Joey's profile. I almost clicked off it real quick because I thought it might be something pornographic. Well, what is that? What is that? Is that a mouse? What are we watching here? I can't even imagine. Joey, good morning. Both ways look fine today. Yeah, you said a mouthful there. So we're in the middle of season 8, and we've been hopping around a lot. I did want to tell you, for those of you that are on here right now, in 2 weeks, we have the CMN champion on the show with us. Her and her mom are going to be here on Rise Up in Real Estate live stream that Wednesday. I think it's April the 8th at 10 o'clock. They live in Atlanta. They're going to come on and tell us their story. This young lady is the Children's Miracle Network champion for this year. How old is she, Ashley, right now? Do you remember? Is she 11 or 12 or older? A little bit older.
She was like 13 or 14.
Okay, so a little bit older than that. Beautiful singer. If you saw her walk in down the street, you wouldn't even know anything had happened, but they were in a very, very bad car accident. And it's we got some fun comments coming on here again. Lawton, you might have to. We're out there in Neverland. My kids have been on my YouTube app. Thanks, Joey, for that. I'm not sure what this. I don't know who this is. Shave your head, bottom dude. Let it go. I'm not sure what's going on there, but anyway. So she's going to be on the show telling us her story. She was in a very bad accident and went through the Children's Miracle Hospital in Atlanta to recover from this tragic accident. You're going to see and listen to what she has to say. But I'm excited to have her. That's going to be fun. And we have been talking about a bunch of things. We also have another guest coming up later in April that I think you'll enjoy. But we've been talking about a lot of different things this season, and we're trying to focus on the things that make us better agents of the future. So we all have our space gear, and we're ready to go. But before we dive in, let me say hello to Ashley and Lawton. Anything new going on in y'all's lives, Ashley, Lawton? Anything you want to report to the audience at all?
I got to go up and visit my niece right next to Lawton's alma mater at Sweetbriar College, right up the street from Lynchburg. So I went there last week and watched the horse show. She rides horses, and got to take her to dinner, and it was really nice.
Was it cold or warm up there at that moment?
It was cold. Well, the daytime did finally warm up, but like nighttime and mornings cold.
Awesome. By the way, we're in coastal South Carolina here. She went up in Virginia, where Lawton went to school. Lawton went to school at Liberty up in Lynchburg. What did you call that college, Ashley? What was it called?
Sweetbriar is where Josie goes. Sweetbriar College.
Sweetbriar College, huh? Horseback riding. One of our agents has a daughter who's quite a great barrel racer. I don't know if Amber's on the show or not. Sometimes look at there. We have a corporate people looking. This is Joey's new barbecue company. Oh, by the way, this weekend, if those of you that are local, this weekend at the Boathouse on Saturday at noon, you need to come try our barbecue. We're getting there Friday at noon to cook overnight. And if you haven't been a part of this, you need to come have some. It's for a great cause. I don't even know what the cause is, but I'm sure it's great. You need to come and participate because last year we did pretty good. There were like 35 teams and we finished in the top 5. So Joey's barbecue is quite the trick. So come out and see us. I think you'll enjoy. It is quite the festivity, and they have a huge concert. I don't know if Julio and the Saltines are going to perform again this year, but the Boathouse was packed, and everybody in town will be there. So you need to be there and you need to vote for our barbecue. Come by and eat whatever you want. Look, whoever's little cup you want to eat, but just vote for ours. No one else's, just ours, because we're going to win. The way the team won last year was they had more people there. Amber's on a listing appointment. Hello, Tracy Huffman. Nice to see you. Lawton, anything new in your world? Haircut's looking stellar, according to Dr. D. Sabata, or whatever his name was. What's going on new in your world?
I think he was talking about you, but he's been banned. Not much new. Our dog was running out in the backyard and he bounded off of a hill and I think he hurt his leg. So he's been chilling in the crate for a few hours, but that's really it. There's not much crazy going on.
You got an active dog. So I want to see a few days ago. This is how this works. I said, "Hey, Sue O'Shea." Everybody wave to Sue. Sue, nice to see you. I told Lawton.
Nice.
100%. You're in Connecticut. She went from West Coast to East Coast, and now maybe she'll come back here eventually. But I told Lawton yesterday you would definitely be here, Sue. Your shirt's coming, by the way. I have your order form right here on my desk. I'm just having a hard time getting it through our processing department and out of the warehouse, but before long you'll have it. Yeah. So let's check. I send these guys an email and say, hey, here's what we're going to be talking about this week to remind them of the schedule that we set earlier in the year. And this week I called this episode Recipes and Current Real Estate Events. And we are going to talk about some very important things that are going on. I'm so glad Ashley's here because I'm going to lean on her knowledge, things that she knows that I don't know because I'm not practicing every day. And same with Lawton, on some things that are happening in our industry that are on the news and in the news every single day. So we'll do that. But did either of you bring a recipe? Because I know what I want you to talk about, Ashley. I already know the recipe I want you to share with us, and I'm going to put the recipe in the show notes. But Lawton, did you bring a recipe? You have something you can chat about for a second?
I don't really ever have any recipes. It's just ChatGPT that has all mine. But no, I don't really have one. I did make a good corn dip on the smoker a couple weeks ago, so that one's worth mentioning. It'll put about anybody in the doctor for their blood work, but it was pretty good. I can send that to you if you want it.
So if anybody wanted to, if they have a smoker and they want to do corn dip, they just go to ChatGPT and say, would you find Lawton's smoked corn dip recipe? And it was pretty good.
Yep. There you go.
And Ashley, you're going to tell us about, do you know what I'm going to ask you about?
I do. Yeah. Well, I think so. Thanksgiving?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Yes, your Thanksgiving. You made it because this year you were by yourself at Thanksgiving.
No.
Monkey bread?
I was going to say something different, but yes, I love some good monkey bread. It's, do I have to tell everybody the recipe on here? What am I doing?
Yeah. Why don't you just talk about it for a minute? Take us to monkey bread heaven in your kitchen. Just tell us what you do, because she's quite the cook. For those of you that don't know,
I'm not.
Yeah, she's quite the cook. Go ahead, Ashley.
I make 3 things and none of them are good for you. So once a year, I really look forward to monkey bread for Christmas morning. I don't know why you only eat monkey bread Christmas morning, but that's the rule. And it's just some self-rising dinner rolls in like a big bundt pan, and then butterscotch pudding mix and butter and brown sugar and regular sugar. Like there's nothing about it that you should be eating. And you let it rise overnight and stick it in the oven and flip it upside down Christmas morning. And it looks terrifying in the morning after you let it rise. It like bubbles over the pan. It's enormous. And somehow it just works. And it's delicious every time. And this year I was here with just the dogs, and I was FaceTiming my family in Virginia. And so I didn't have to share the monkey bread. Like I was so excited that it was all mine. And over the course of 3 or 4 days, I polished it off.
She had her pajama pants on, her Rise Up in Real Estate t-shirt, and in her lap was the monkey bread. That's awesome. I can just see it and smell it and taste it. That's Joey Lawton saying he needs to get with you on that corn dip. Of course he does.
Also, actually, my wife's family actually makes that same thing Christmas morning. And if you want to make it worse for you, they replace like half of the dinner rolls with Pillsbury cinnamon rolls.
Oh, okay.
Same thing, but it's just got more cholesterol in it. So if you
wonderful.
This show is called a lot of things, but nutrition, it is not. We're talking recipes. We're not talking health and fitness. Sue O'Shea would be my guest if we were doing that. Not either of you. So, or Joey. Joey's going to cook some barbecue this weekend, and you just have to taste it to believe it. But he's got a lot of other great recipes. Joey, probably one of my favorite things you make. What's that called, Joey? The something in collards. What do you put with collards? It's so collard greens and grits and greens or something like that. Is that what you call it? Joey, you're out there. Tell us about that in the comments. And Carrie, I know the size of you and the size of me. Carrie, you're out there. You've got to cook something good. You got any recipes out there for us? But anyway, and Tracy Huffman, I know you've got great recipes. What were you going to say about Thanksgiving, Ashley? I'm having a hard time remembering what you do.
So remember, you have always really wanted for everybody to share the recipe for what they bring to the office for Thanksgiving because it's so delicious.
Yes.
And you posted and asked everybody to share their recipe. And that year I had brought the gravy, which involved Heinz turkey gravy. And so I wrote out an entire step-by-step of turning the jar and clockwise or counterclockwise and opening it and pouring it into a bowl and heating it in the microwave. But I made it really complex. And then everybody commented on my ridiculous post, and you didn't get any recipes. So I thought maybe that's still burned in your brain. I hijacked your post.
No, I wasn't thinking that. I was giving you credit for the monkey bread. I've been thinking, though, for years. We have these incredible Thanksgiving meals in our company. Did you see that? I didn't mean to hit that, but grilled wings. Oh, yeah. That's what I was going to share. Lawton, I was going to share this with you. 0 to 400. 0 to 400 wings. You prepare your wings, and I'm talking about on a pellet smoker. Prepare your wings in the kitchen. Go out and lay them on your smoker and then turn it on to 400 degrees, full smoke. And at 30 minutes, you open it, flip them over, and close it. And then at 1 hour, you take it off. So you have it from 0 to 1 hour. It goes from 0 to 400, and the wings come out absolutely perfect. And a buddy of mine says that he makes some lemon pepper. It's the recipe so bad I won't even share it because Sue will drop the call if I do that. But anyway, let's so the recipe, what we've been thinking about, we should look at Sue. Throw some veggies in there, Sue. We need fruits and veggies. And Carrie says our Masonic Lodge has a giant. See, I knew if I talked about food, people would start commenting. See, this is working. This Friday with Flowertown Festival. Oh yeah, Somerville Flowertown Festival is this weekend. Carrie said something like 200,000 people come to that little square in downtown Somerville. 200,000 people. So if you are an agent in Somerville, I would get a sandwich board and wear it and walk around and let them know who you are and what you need. Have some stuff. Pellet smoker is cheating. I know, Joey, out of 31 or 35 teams last year, there were only 2 that used real wood. We were one of the ones. So good job on that, Joey. 200,000 plus people in Somerville. I think that's incredible. I don't want to go there this weekend because there's not that many roads to get in and out of there, but y'all have fun with that. But anyway, recipe book. We have all this great food cooked at Thanksgiving, like several offices. And I would say, why don't everybody throw a recipe and we'll make a book. We'll make a Remax recipe book, like a cookbook. Nobody thinks that's a good idea but me. because I don't think they want to share their special secret recipe. Like you can't just find it on ChatGPT. But anyway, whatever they want to do is fine. Let's talk about current events in real estate, though. Since we've been 15 minutes on food, which I love food. I just love talking about it. Without those of you that are listening, what do you think are let's name a current event in real estate that you think is happening right now? Like what are the top three? Top three current real estate. I don't know what I'll do it means, but I'm glad you will. You'll do the cookbook. There you go. What are the top three current events? I want to hear I read about current events every day. Like every day I'm reading Inman, Risk Media, Seth Godin, Darren Hardy. The list goes on. And I read them every single day. So I'm Jared James, Tom Ferry, Brian Buffini, all of those. So I'm sure Ashley does the same thing. Ashley's pretty up to date with current events, what's going on in the news. Might not be on the Today Show yet, but what are they? Does anybody listening want to throw one up there? Sue or Carrie, Joey? I see some of the others out there. I might have to call you out if you don't pipe up. Lawton's out there. Lawton, you running the two cameras or just one?
Just one.
Just one. Okay. He had his two camera idea, Ashley, that he was going to pull off, but he didn't. Okay, well, there's just tons of participation from the audience right now, throwing up what they think are the top three current events in real estate. Lawton, without looking at your notes, did you think the ones that we brought up as topics? Did you know about all three? Did you heard about all three? Commissions. Yeah. I'll share the three that we think are the top. The commission discussion, Ashley. The use of AI. And the fear that my cookbook idea is taking over the show. I love it. The use of AI in real estate and in life. And then the third one, which is the most recent in my mind, is private exclusive listings versus let's take this thing totally public. Okay. So those are the three things we're going to talk about in the next few minutes. And this is not, this isn't theory. This is what is going on currently in our industry. It's like happening right now. And probably before we get off the show, something will hit Inman that we don't even know about because it literally seems like every day there's a new headline. Like Zillow, Compass has a lawsuit. Zillow has a lawsuit. One of them's dropped. Now EXP's partnered with so-and-so and Remax has partnered with so-and-so. And it all seems like it's happening right now in front of our eyes. I just don't know how much it's affecting Sue O'Shea and her business or like Lawton in your business. Let's briefly talk about the commission discussion first. Okay. Ashley, we're in coastal South Carolina. So keep in mind north and south. So keep in mind, if you are in another state, we are not talking about your laws necessarily. Yours could be different. But Ashley, talk us through what happened, a few years ago with this commission discussion after the lawsuit. I don't want you to you don't have to talk about the lawsuit, but what do we have? What's the current state of buyer's agency and commission discussion versus what it was 3 years ago?
Yeah. So I think that the big point that everybody wants to drive home is just being transparent about commissions and where they come from and who is paying them, because that seems to be the sticking point that led to the lawsuit. There were people that felt that they didn't understand that paying maybe 6% for their listing meant that 3% was getting shared to a buyer's agent, because the buyer's agent is so important in the transaction coming together and the seller achieving their goal of selling their house. But they felt like, why are we paying that agent instead of the buyer paying their own agent? At the end of the day, it all comes from the same pool of money that the buyer brings to the closing table, right? There is no money if the buyer doesn't put this pot of money on the closing table, and then the attorney gets paid from it, and the appraiser and the lender and the agents and everybody gets paid out of that proceeds right there. That comes to the closing table. But people felt like we didn't understand that that was going to come out of our net for our sale for the home that we were listing. So now it's just making sure that agents have the conversation in a way that is just crystal clear so that everybody understands that agents for a living charge a fee to do their job. And here's how the fees can break down once we get under contract. And it can get negotiated a lot of different ways. But at the end of the day, again, it's the buyer's money that's coming in to take care of all of that. What's changed recently in South Carolina is that we had a listing agreement. So when you go to put your house on the market and it says, hey, overall, it's going to be 5%, 6%, whatever the number is, to list your house. And then in the next paragraph, it was very clear writing that said, you're initialing this spot to allow me to share 2.5%, 3% of that total commission for a buyer's agent to bring somebody into the picture to get your house sold. Because it's kind of like going fishing with bait or going fishing without bait. So you want for people to bring buyers to take a look at the property and know that they're going to have some of their fee paid for. So what's changed is that now we do not have that section. There is nothing about sharing the commission. So a listing is now only one paragraph about the fee that the agent charges, and it's just the listing agent's fee, 2.5%, 3%, whatever that listing agent has decided in their business. And from there, you have to set the expectation with the seller for why it's still going to be a conversation when an offer comes in. And the offer is going to show up with, if you're asking $400,000 for the house, the offer might come in offering $390,000, might come in offering $405,000 because they're competing with higher demand for that property. But along with it is going to be a request for part of that buyer's agent fee or all of that buyer's agent fee to also be part of that net sheet. So the math is just happening in a different part of the transaction. But at the end of the day, it's an agent's ability to explain the net to the seller clearly so that they feel like they understand everything and that they have a win when selling their property. So that's the changes that our listing agreement doesn't have a spot to say we're going to share this commission with somebody else. That's all now going to happen at the time of contract instead of ahead of time at the time of listing and getting on the market.
Okay. So you think, Lawton, how's it changed how you've done business, this most recent change? Has it made a difference in Ashley, if he answers incorrectly, correct him, okay? Because Lawton didn't learn in the old school. He's only been doing this about 18 months. So he learned this way is the only way he knew, where he had to have his value with buyers. But what's changed most recently in your practice of real estate, Lawton, with that and that last change on the listing agreement? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, like you said, I haven't known it in any other way as to where it's common knowledge that the fee's negotiable. I mean, it's always been that way, but since I started, that's been the big topic, like, oh, we can negotiate on either side, right? In terms of the newest listing change, I don't think it's as big of a change as it sounds like, other than the way you have to explain it. And I think I like it. I think it's a little bit awkward at first to talk about, but I think it benefits buyers and sellers because each one of them can have more ability to get what they're looking for. And we have that conversation, we find the right house, then it's just part of the offer. And you set it up with the buyer. Hey, this offer, we've put it together, including this part about commission, to get it exactly what's perfect for you. Let's submit it. So it feels more like a case-by-case basis, but I think it makes it easier for buyers and sellers to win, but the conversation is just a little bit different.
Yeah. Can you imagine, Ashley, good morning, OG Mandy Fulford is on the show. Glad to see you this morning. And Tracy, I agree. Ashley is very good with words. Explained it perfectly. You know why? Because this mastery of her language. Like if I say I spent time doing something, Ashley will correct me. And I invested my time. So
the funny thing is I just had a conversation with OG Mandy Fulford about how good she is with words and that I tend to repeat myself and I'm not very good with them. So Tracy, thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah. And OG Mandy Fulford is very good with words also. So it's interesting to me, Ashley. The market has been. I just wanted to throw this out because I think you guys described it perfectly. It takes a professional to operate in this to effectively, legally, ethically, and effectively operate in our business right now. Like you cannot freelance and get away with. I mean, you might, but you also could get in big trouble. Like you have to be according to the rules. There's a couple things that are interesting to me. The people that changed the rules initially, that set this rule change in motion, was the public. Well, through some attorneys, it wasn't practicing realtors. Now maybe whoever changed the rules was in response to the attorney saying, "Hey, the public there has to be transparency." But I'm wondering, like we've struggled a little bit in the last few years with what we call the market, which I hate that term. You guys know that, but it has been a little bit. Lawton doesn't know because he doesn't have anything to compare it to. But it's different than 2020 and 2021. The market is like the length of time on the market and the number of offers and all of that. That was what we call a speed-based market. Right now, we're in the middle of a skills-based market, and I think those are just labels, really reactionary labels to what's going on. But I think it's interesting. What if these changes would have happened in 2020 or 2021? Like people weren't even looking up for air. Like they weren't. There was no way this would have happened back then effectively. People were just. It was helter skelter. And then the other part of it is I'm curious if these changes have caused. And Lawton, you could probably answer better than anyone, and actually, because you listen to agents every day. Have the changes caused a little bit of delay in the efficiency and activity of our market because agents are a little bit afraid. They're going to say the wrong thing. They're going to do it the wrong way. It's not like just matchmaking like it used to be where you have a listing and you go find a buyer and you match them together. We've got this cloud over our heads now of don't do it incorrectly. Make sure you're transparent. Make sure you can't show a buyer this until you do this. And the percentages, and I'm all for rules, but how much of that is true? Like how much of that has made it more difficult? Lawton's a bad one to ask because he's never done it the other way. What is it made it more difficult, Ashley, you think, for agents to operate, or is it just now finally we have to learn and do things the way that we're supposed to do them?
I think there were agents that struggled with the adjustment because everyone had been used to when you help somebody look for a house, part of your job is to go open the door and show them properties. That's everybody's favorite part. That's the part that looks like HGTV, and they think that that's everything that agents do. And during that time, agents felt like they were gaining trust and building rapport so that those buyers would know that they were the expert to guide them through this process. And now you have to have that conversation with some documents signed about your fee and the disclosure of agency and all these items before you open up doors. So you don't have a chance to build rapport at the homes. It is now meet in the office, do the consultation, find out what the buyer needs, find out if you can be the person to guide them through what they need to accomplish, and then talk to them about what agency is. So I think that that's better for agents, but there were some that struggled with how they were going to build their relationships. We have shared the Momentum program with our agents for a couple of decades, and that was always the process there. Before there was a rule to have buyer agency signed before showing property, or at least South Carolina disclosure signed before showing property, Momentum always taught to do that strategy session and to have the conversation up front and to explain the process and show your value and find out if the buyer was ready. Because as an agent, you're now going to go and invest a lot of hours finding that house with that person, and you want to choose wisely for your business also if that is someone that's truly motivated and qualified and loyal and ready to buy. So that's always been the process that we have encouraged agents to do. It's just now required. And that has been difficult for some who felt like they gained someone's trust through showing property. But I think everybody has handled it like a champ, at least the agents that we get to talk to on a regular basis. And it's been great for their business.
Lawton, you probably don't know this, but back a few years ago, and this happened quite a bit, Ashley, while you were here, and even before that, people would get buyer's agency signed as they were doing the offer.
Mm-hmm.
It was sent as part of the offer, and it was just clicked on through DocuSign or whatever transaction management system you're using as part of the deal. And we continually said, like, we had, I remember we taught classes back then on how to have the buyer's agency conversation, and people were like, what is first? It's always been first substance in contact. You're supposed to talk about that stuff, but it used to be very different. And I think in our normally Remax, I mean, it's not a Remax commercial, but normally Remax is the home of the professional. And so most people were doing it that way to begin with, but it has been a big adjustment to talk about it in the right order. And I believe at the end of the day, makes us more professional, makes us worth our money, makes us more careful with what we say. And we do, at the end of the day, I mean, the purpose of all of it is protect the public.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is to protect the public. And I think all of this certainly helps. Lawton, what kind of friction do you get when you have these conversations? Any at all? Or is it based on you build rapport because you're trustworthy, you're likable in the beginning, and they kind of follow you along? Or what kind of resistance do you have to this buyer's agency thing, or talking about commission to a listing, to a seller?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest friction is definitely the fact that you now legally have to have that signed before seeing a single house. I mean, I think that's the biggest friction comes from that, because in the same way that I don't know them, they don't know me at all. Like, I could be crazy. And why would they want to sign something that's, I mean, depending on how you set the paperwork up, whether you do it for a day or for 6 months, like, who wants to sign something with someone they don't know that ties them for 6 months? So I think it's not even I don't think it's the commission part that makes that hard. I think it's just the legality of signing an agreement with someone that you don't know. I mean, personally, if I can get it initially signed, I pretty quickly can make it to where they want to re-sign it if I only have it through the end of that day or something. But other than that, there hasn't been a ton of friction. I mean, that's the biggest thing, because a lot of the people that I work with and have worked with so far haven't bought a house since that happened. And they're like, why in the world do I need, like, it makes me look like I'm different than who they worked with last time. And I'm trying to get them to sign something quick so I can make money almost. So that's where the friction comes from. But then I just have to explain the things that it's different now.
Yeah, good. Because most people haven't bought. We talked about this a couple of episodes ago. They're buying houses once every 7, 8, 9 years, not every day. We're talking about it every day. They may have had a very different experience 7 or 8 or 9 years ago than they are now, and we just have to walk them through that. There's an interesting caveat to this, Ashley. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but something that's being talked about right now in the news, like really current event this week or at the end of last week, where, we've always said part of, and I know National Association of Realtors, and even like the Coastal Carolina Association of Realtors, I hope Rennie's on this call, she can pipe in. They have more value than just connection to the multiple listing service. But there are a great number of members who believe that is the number one reason that we join those associations, is to have access to the multiple listing service. Because in the past, you couldn't, if you weren't in CCAR, you didn't have access to multiple listing service. Well, recently there have been some changes where now you don't have to be a realtor to have that tool. You knew this. Are you familiar with this?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that? Mandy and I talk about this. My wife and I talk about this some, and trying to figure out where this goes and what this means, that you don't have to be a realtor to use that tool. What do you think of it? What do y'all think of that? Have you given any thoughts to those things?
I think that it just is going to create more rules and boundaries than that the MLS is going to have to put in place when you open it up to a bigger audience. And they're going to find several things down the road that now don't work the same way that it did when there was only realtors that were a part of that MLS service. And I don't know what those might be. I don't know if you and Mandy maybe came up with a few that might happen, but it'll mean that we're all going to have to make big adjustments with a bigger pool being included in that system.
Yeah, and thank you for saying realtor properly. You're welcome to those of you that are listening that realtor has 2 syllables, not 3. It's not realtor, it's realtor. So thank you for that. But the thing that is hard for me to put my mind around is, in my opinion, when I became a realtor, that was a serious thing. I committed to a certain code of ethics to protect the public. And there are people that would say, well, that's just you're duplicating being a good human. If you're a good human, you don't need those rules to treat people the right way. But that's not true. And I could give specific examples of things that don't feel right, but they are ethical, right? And so I think the cloud is going to be when you have people that don't know those rules and don't have to know those rules to have access to our properties, and they're representing customers, clients, and they have a different standard of ethics.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a standard of ethics other than who they are as a person. I think that becomes very much the wild, wild west.
How are they inputting information? How are they presenting it to the public? Are there now going to be additional guidelines for what can and cannot get mentioned if you decide to use the MLS to be able to market property, et cetera? And we have that code of ethics, if you're a realtor, that you have to abide by. So that already takes care of some of your public facing information that you're going to share on the MLS. But now you have this group of people that just don't have that code of ethics. So what's going to have to change with how we're spelling out the rules for what everybody can share? I don't know. I have no idea what it looks like.
I mean, is it one thing in the code of ethics that you're not allowed to, you're ethically, you're not, so there's a group of people that enforce the fact that Lawton can't go through, like we call expired listings. We don't call active listings. And the reason we don't call active listings is because we've committed to an ethical standard that we won't do that. But when that goes away, that's a different ballgame. Mm-hmm. And I could even see, will companies decide you don't have to be a realtor? So when a company calls your listing, another agent, and I mean, how do you hold them accountable now? It's going to be very different, I think. And I don't know. I'm learning that we're going to transition to this other topic because this other one really makes me curious. We're going to skip AI. Because AI is not a big deal. I mean, AI is going to go away. It's probably not even going to be a real thing in a few weeks. I mean, it's falling apart as we speak. No, we've talked about AI, and we're going to do some more AI discussion as we move forward. And clearly, AI is significant. It's not going to replace humans yet, but don't worry about it. So anyway, let's talk about this other thing for sake of time that's happening right now. I have my license since 2001. So I've been licensed for 25 years this year. And I don't remember a time where brands have always been polarizing. Like C21 thinks one thing, Remax thinks another. They've always had their own brand and they've always stood for certain things. But today feels like, to me, we're having to choose sides on something really, really significant. And then that is, when do you put a property on the market? And when is what's best for the seller? So you have one camp that says private exclusive is the way to go, like meaning they can keep it in their office for a period of time before they go public. The other school of thought is bring it to the masses immediately. So, and we have major brands and companies choosing sides on this, and portals like Zillow and Homes.com, and everybody's falling in a different. And tell me, those of you that are listening, Joey, Carrie, Sue, those that have seen Mandy or Lawton, does this conversation that I'm getting ready to have, does it affect you right now in business? Are you thinking about it at all, sitting with your clients? Private exclusive versus, I mean, does that even come up at all?
Not yet, but I think it probably could, but no, not currently. I mean, it's a huge deal, but I don't think most people that have a house to sell, their house is not to the point where it needs to just be exclusive. At least who I've worked with for the most part. So that's a very naive and broad statement, but no, to this point, it hasn't really been a topic of conversation.
Because sometimes I think I'm a real estate nerd. Like I read so much, and I love the word nerd. I've been proud to be a nerd for a long time. I was a math major in college, so I'm okay with the nerd label. That's why I got these glasses. But I feel like I'm kind of in a bubble learning these things, and I'm wondering how much agents are thinking about it at all. What do you think? Is this conversation happening at all, even with our agents that are doing the most transactions in our brokerage? Are they're thinking about it at all? Do you? Because you would know. You're in the rooms with them every day.
I actually don't have them ask me about that topic. I see it in the headlines. I think everybody still feels like nobody's made a decision one way or another. So they're focused on what has changed here recently and how they're going to pivot and move business according to right now. So the agents that I chat with on a regular basis, they have not asked a lot of questions about brokerage exclusive versus public.
Okay. We're going to go a little bit longer than 45 minutes. I know, Ashley, you'll have to run near the end because you've got to go to another class. But we're going to spend about 10 more minutes on this. Give me your opinion, Ashley, and then Lawton, you can follow up on it too. Give me your opinion of this discussion and the polarity of it. Am I onto anything or am I crazy? Like, help me understand. Is it a big deal or not? Let's see what Joey says. Yeah, that's good. Change happens, right? I appreciate that. And I like that attitude because you're going to win in life with that attitude. So what do you think, Ashley?
So I think that we always share with people that homes sell for two reasons: price and exposure. And exposure is what drives demand. And then demand, back to basic economics, drives pricing. So if you have high demand for a product, then the price is going to increase. You get to drive it up. Even if the list price was X amount, you might get a little bit more if that demand is up. So I have a hard time wrapping my mind around how brokerage exclusive is going to benefit the masses, but I see where there's reasons that some people want it. Right now, we have in our listing agreement an ability to do brokerage exclusives. I helped an agent get one done yesterday for a certain reason. So they have their place, but it's going to make everything, in my opinion, harder to find great properties for people when you now have the MLS or you have these brokerage exclusives. How are we going to know what else is available that our buyers might be interested in? It seems like it's extra steps. And I don't know how exactly that's going to look, but I just can't. Maybe I'm just so ingrained in momentum teaching that homes sell for two reasons: price and exposure. Why are we limiting exposure? It doesn't make sense to me yet. And I don't know, somebody might change my mind down the road.
Yeah. Well, Sue gave the best answer of the day. She says no. And I love that. I don't remember what question she's answering, but she says no. I think maybe, is this a discussion she's having with people yet? And it's not. This isn't something that's public. Like, you don't have to choose now. I've called some agents at Coldwell Banker. Coldwell Banker is now is a sibling of Compass. I mean, it is now under the Compass umbrella, and Compass is very bullish on the private exclusive idea, which I don't think most Coldwell Banker agents are okay with it, are on board. Like, they probably would explain it like you do, Ashley, where it's we hit it, or you might
background of someone on the phone. So while you're talking, I'm just
okay. Yeah, okay, that's good. So I don't think it's only real estate, though, in my opinion. I mean, when you want to sell something, anything, like Tickle Me Elmo, they didn't put Tickle Me Elmo on the market and say, we're only going to show it to 1,000 people first, then we're going to go to 20,000, then we're going to go to the masses. They built the momentum, they built the excitement around it, they showed the product, and maybe this is the whole idea, but I don't understand why less buyers drives higher price. But you hit a very important point. It's the seller's choice, and it always has been. Right? Am I right? I mean, couldn't a seller could choose not to put it on multiple listing if they don't want to ever.
Right.
Right?
Mhm.
Would anyone do that? I mean, if your last name is Trump, or your last name is, I don't know, name a famous actor, McConaughey, you might not want your property address on multiple listing service, right? You might only want to say, hey, Jordan Cohen, who's the #1 Remax agent in the world, I'm going to give you this. You sell this to your office or whoever you know. It doesn't even need to go. And you might trust Jordan could do that because that's where his business is. And maybe that's how you want to handle it. But even if I was that person, I would wonder if there is a buyer that I'm missing that could drive the price higher. That's what my confusion is. What do you think, Lawton? Are you with this conversation, like private, meaning show it to the office first, and somebody might jump on it, but then go to the public?
Yeah, I think I agree with what y'all are saying. I think there might be a small population that it makes sense, to where if you're one of those people that you just mentioned, probably your house, you're probably going to get the best price if you put it on the market. If it's a good enough house. I mean, in my head, if you specifically choose a listing agent that you know works with that type of property, you're assuming they have someone that could buy it that's going to give you the best price. But other than something like that, it doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, where less. I don't know how you sell that to someone where less people are going to see it because it's exclusive. Well, what's the why? Like, I don't know how you sell it to someone other than it feels to me if you try to sell it to someone, it's clearly benefiting you or the brokerage, mainly the brokerage, I guess, not an individual agent. But I don't know. It's definitely something that, again, like Ashley's saying, it's the seller's choice. If the seller wants to do it, then there's your reason. That's what we're here to do, is what the seller wants, and to some extent. But yeah, other than if it's their deepest desire, I'm not sure why you would.
So you just go ahead, Ashley. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, Lawton just said something that kind of hit me in the face, that we're all assuming that the seller's net is the most important thing to them. We've all made a big assumption here, because that is not the case for every seller. So exactly to Lawton's point, if maximizing your net proceeds is the most important, it seems that exposure would be one of your #1 goals. But what about a family that has a divorce going on and they really just don't want so much publicized, so many questions, so many people whispering about what's going on? Their privacy is maybe more important than the other $5,000 that could have been negotiated on the deal if it had been public. Maybe there's safety concerns where they just can't have all that information out in front of people. So thanks, Lawton. That just really made me think about it a different way, that we're making a big assumption in this conversation. Is the seller going to get the most money for their house with this strategy? But the most money isn't always the most important to every single person.
And like what normally happens on this show, Lawton usually brings it down to the real for us, because he hasn't had the 20 years of bad habits and nonsense that Ashley and I have had. Not 20 quite for Ashley yet, but I think that you're right on target, that we have to stay focused on what the seller wants. And I think that's where private exclusive could get cloudy, because the agent or agency might say, let's take our chance to sell it. That's what all these listing portals are, like companies that have been created to get the pre-market listing. I mean, the reason we do that for our client is let us show it inside before we go outside. Let us show it to our people first. Give Lawton a chance to jump on it because he might have buyers. Let's keep it inside of Remax Southern Shores at this moment. But that's a conversation we need to have with the seller. What is the seller's ultimate goal? I love the examples you gave, Ashley. Very real examples. And actually, you put your house on the market not too long ago. Did you go public right away?
I did. And as an agent, it was strange. Not that I help people very often actually buy and sell, but it was very vulnerable. And I thought, all these agents that I work with all the time, they're going to be critiquing every single thing I do on the MLS to put my house on the market. What words did I describe it with? What photos did I have? What pricing did I do? I asked other agents to look at pricing, because when it's yours, sometimes you're too close to it. And so I can understand where it's vulnerable to all of a sudden have your house. advertised that way.
And this conversation normally goes, the seller, how we started, the seller's not going to get as much money doing it private exclusive. But by the way, that might not be their number one goal. That might not matter to the seller. We need to find out what matters to the seller. We were really close. I mean, transparently, we were very close to putting our house on the market recently. And my biggest concern was having our last name. I mean, I guess you can also just not disclose that in the listing agreement, but having people know that our house was for sale. So I was probably going to allow a few people to show it privately. And I was willing to say how good those agents were probably were going to bring a good enough buyer that I was going to be fine with the ultimate outcome. But I still had in the back of my mind that it might have been a random New Yorker driving around that would have bought my house for no God knows what with cash, right? So I'm wondering who I'm missing. But this whole conversation is just like the first conversation we had. Hey, guess what? The public's what matters. The client is what matters. And we have to stay uber focused on that. But it's very awkward to see, RE/MAX say, we're siding with full exposure. And Compass say, we're siding with public exclusive. Because now, private exclusive. Now, when you have a buyer, not right now, but pretty soon, when you have a buyer, Lawton, and you go to MLS, you're missing some inventory. Unless you know somebody at Compass that can share it with you. Right? And I don't know how there's also this discussion of how you present that to a seller. What's better? What's worse? So I think this might work itself through like the buyer's agency conversation kind of has done. I think we might work ourselves through all this, and eventually it's going to be somebody's going to decide, hey, we got to do this one way for the public's good, because 2 or 3 different standards out there is not good for the public, in my humble opinion, anyway, as humble as it is. But let's wrap it up there. I think these are things I'm happy. If Sue was answering the question, no, I'm not hearing this in conversations yet. Lawton said not really. Ashley said not really coming up yet. But part of my goal in being, I don't know, whatever at this company and in this space is to make you aware of what's happening, what's up and coming. Like Rennie, our broker in charge, she told me this lawsuit was coming 3 years before it ever was talked about. I was like, what? And she goes, oh, yeah, it's coming. And that's kind of what we're trying to do, make you aware of the landscape so you're not surprised. And I think this is healthy discussion. Next week, we'll transition back to some more AI discussion here at Rise Up in Real Estate. We're going to dig into a little bit different direction next Wednesday. And that's April Fool's Day. So y'all don't pull anything funny unless you want to. And then my son, my 7-year-old was so excited because his field trip got rescheduled. He's going to the planetarium. He got rescheduled to April 1st. And I said, dude, you're not going. Your teacher's going to load you up in the bus. And she's going to say, April Fools, we're taking a math test right here in the bus. He's so mad. But in 2 weeks, we have our champion will be on here. We'll do some promotions for that because I want you guys to come hear her story firsthand. It's incredible. But I just appreciate the two of you. Thank you for being vulnerable today and let me ask you some crazy questions. Any closing remarks? Lawton, you want to wrap it up with a closing remark? You usually are so profound.
No, I don't know why now recently I'm the only person over in the little other thing. Now I'm by myself.
Where are you?
In the whatever way it is for you, the up and down version. That's just me sitting there now.
Oh, that's fantastic. You did that. Don't even act like you didn't do that. You're getting all. Hey, Lawton had a little accident this past week, 2 weeks ago. I should share this. He has a TikTok video that has how many views?
I think it's like 1.2 million now.
You went viral, Lawton.
He's got a virus. And he's an influencer. No wonder you're the only one in that square over there.
This is not an accident. Lawton is the most consistent on social media platforms. I can't believe you said Lawton had an accident. He has crafted this, Tad.
Well, I told him right after that one went viral, I thought I was doing something. I was really feeling good about myself. I posted another one, and it's got like 74 views. So I'm really cooking over here.
Yeah, once you start, what did you call it? Once you start feeling yourself, next thing you know, then you're back right to normal because the algorithm is going to win. But you're right, Ashley. I was teasing because how many do you do a day? You said you're posting 15 to 20 things a day. So on all the different platforms, trying everything that you can. So that is a major pillar of your business. And it just makes me realize that when I have 6 viewers on this show that I've been doing for 8 years, my time is coming. My time is coming. I'm putting in the time. Rise Up in Real Estate eventually will be a significant show, and I'm going to be here for it because Jimmy Fallon started small.
Yeah, I can't.
Pat McAfee started small. I mean, these people didn't just go straight to the top. So,
yep. We're climbing every week. We're climbing
every week. Thank you for joining us at Rise Up in Real Estate today with this conversation about recipes and current events in real estate. We look forward to seeing you guys next time. Thank you guys for helping me co-host this episode, and we will talk to you guys soon.
Sounds great. Have a great day.
Yeah.